Tiffin. What a game it was, Coach. Walk us through it.
What a game it was, overtime, and guys fought their tails off and kept their focus, kept their poise, kept their composure, and found a way to win at the end.
Yeah, and you talk about a game like that as well, overtime. First time you guys have gotten a taste of that this season. What were your thoughts and expectations on it?
Well, first and foremost, it didn't surprise me. I knew going in they were a good team. We're playing them on their turf. It's their homecoming. They're all fired up, and so I expected a battle. I wish it wouldn't won overtime, but kudos to them, kudos to our guys, and they thought the fans need some more football, so we gave them a couple more minutes.
Exactly. We'll talk a little bit more about that Tiffin game here soon as we get our AUTV and WRDL correspondent some time on air. But we also got to talk about the game this coming weekend real quick before we head to break, and that's Walsh. What do you expect from that game being back home at Jack Miller Stadium?
Shoot, another tough game, another tough league game. They're a team that's 6-2 coming in, a lot of confidence. They've played very, very well during this year, and it'll be a battle. But we finally get a chance to play at home again.
Yeah, that'll be the nice part about it too. So who do we have coming on the show today?
We have our esteemed strength coach, Corey Mason, and so we're going to have him as a guest for one of the segments. Isaac Brooks, corner from Mansfield Madison, and a wide receiver, Jet Joseph from New Philadelphia.
Sounds like it'll be a great show. So we'll step aside, join you all back here soon. We've got our interviews coming your way here soon, our coach segment interview, and then everything else in between. You guys know the deal. We are through now 8 weeks and into episode 9 here today.
Wow.
I can't believe it's flying by.
It's flying by, yeah.
Yeah, they normally say high school football is the fast 10 weeks of the year, but man, I feel like this is going even faster.
Yep.
So we are going to step aside, join you all back here soon. Stay tuned. You're watching the Doug Geiser Show, Year 3, Episode 9, right here on the Eagle Network.
Back here on the Doug Geiser Show, I'm WRDL correspondent Louis Tamira.
And I'm AUTV correspondent Bryce Gatton.
Now we're sitting down here with Coach. Let's break down this last week's game against Tiffin. And first off, what a win. You talked about it with Cade there for a second, but now I want to know just your overall thoughts on the game.
It's a tremendous program win, I think. Culture win. Our leaders did a tremendous job of keeping the team's spirit. We talked about that in the pregame, about spirit would help us in this game, spirit and grit. And both of those things, they're both two of the 6 traits of an Ashland man, and they were front and center for this game, that's for sure.
And then first OT game this season for you guys. What's that difference in intensity once it flips over to OT and you guys get back out on that field?
Well, shoot, I mean, it's kind of it's sudden death at that point. You know both teams are going to get a try in each of the quarters, but by the time you get to the second quarter, you got to automatically go for 2. And then once you go third quarter and beyond, it's a 1-play period. And so it really makes a sense of urgency ramp up even more. And it is pretty intense. It is pretty intense. I remember a couple years ago playing Findlay in a 4 overtime game. And there's nothing like it. The highs and the lows that come with that. And the guys did a great job keeping their composure.
And then you guys also converted 4 of your 5 trips in the red zone. How much do you guys prepare for those situations throughout the week?
Every day. That's something we work every single day, from inside run to also 7-on-7. We'll hit it in team versus scouts and also team versus AU in some way, shape, or form. So situational football, especially talk to Coach Rose, who's been in this game quite a bit, and situational football, third downs, red zone, you got to be great in those situations in order to have a chance to win the game.
Now on defense here, let's flip it over. As far as Tiffin goes, they have Alex Johnson, one of the best quarterbacks your team has seen all season long. 400 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, the whole shebang. What's the message to the guys after a performance like that from the opposing team's quarterback, just to not give up on plays?
Well, what it was is you can attack a quarterback one of 2 ways. Either you bring the house and just blitz the bejesus out of them, or you rush 3, you play coverage behind it, And so we did a little bit of both at various times. Their offensive line is pretty good. You got to give them credit. They gave the quarterback a lot of time to throw the ball. And if you give any quarterback, much less probably the best quarterback in the league and one of the best in the country, Alex Johnson, a chance to have some time to throw the ball, he's going to pick you apart, as Saturday would show you. So just a matter of, hey, keep chopping wood. Keep chopping wood, and and for us, we've already turned the page. We're already looking to Walsh, and that's a big, tall task for this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the end of that stat line for Mr. Alex Johnson, that was that one interception, and that brings us to the very last play of the game. Marquise Scott got that interception in the end zone. How does that propel the team forward now, going, starting just this game, of course, want to know every week, but how does that propel your team forward after such a great play?
Well, I think more than anything, it's a confirmation of our mantra of next man up. And we play a lot of guys on defense, we play a lot of guys on offense, a lot of guys on special teams, and we always preach that the expectation is for the position, not for the man. And in that situation right there, Marquise Scott was called upon to make a play, and he did. He stepped up, which he's made it many times in practice as well. So it's kind of confirmation of that mantra. It gets some buy-in from the guys as well, and there's the belief factor continues to grow from that.
Now you guys are finally going to be back at home to round out this regular season. How good will it feel to be back home in front of the Eagle faithful?
We love playing in front of our fans. We love playing in front of our fans. I mean, the 12th man is kind of a cliche, but it is real. And we feel the energy of our fans when we're at home, and we're going to be excited to play in front of our fans.
Walsh up next.
Walsh up next.
What preparations in specific need to be made?
Well, the first and foremost, you look at their defense, and they play a 3-4 defense, which only one other team in the league really bases out of a 3-4, and that's Northwood. And so it's a different prep for you right there, number one. Number two, their head coach is a defensive coach. At heart, he's a heck of a coach on special teams too, John Fankhauser. I've known him for many years. He's got a great record as far as his success coaching defense, and then you see the way he's turned that program around at Walsh. So you start right there, but then last year he added, 2 years ago actually, he added an offensive coordinator by the name of Jim Pertile, who actually I have a tie with. He was a offensive coordinator at Cornell when I was there as a freshman. So I've known him since way back, I won't say the year at this point to date myself, but their staff, and Coach Furbeck is the defensive coordinator now, they're firing on all cylinders. And the kids believe, and really a bounce from last year, happened into this year. They're 6-2. They're really hot at this point with 2 straight, and they're going to really challenge us this Saturday at Jack Miller Stadium.
All right, well, thank you for sitting down with us, Coach, and good luck this week.
Absolutely, thank you.
We'll take a break, but don't go anywhere. You're watching the Doug Geiser Show right here on the Eagle Network.
Budget, save, invest. A plan to help you make smart retirement choices today. Your future self will thank you.
This ad has been provided by Donald M. Graham and Associates, where our dedicated team will help you meet life's complex financial challenges. Call today to schedule your visit at 1-800-322-6116. Securities and advisory services are offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA SIPC.
Welcome back to the Doug Geiser Show, Year 3, Episode 9. I'm Cade Krackus here inside of Buffalo Wild Wings in Ashland, joined alongside Coach Geiser and now wideout Jen Joseph. Jen, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. First and foremost, obviously a hard-fought win over Tiffin this past week, and your thoughts on how the game went.
It was good. Going in, our whole mindset was just go 1-0, and I'm glad we came out on top.
Yeah, of course, and you had a big-time connection with Cam Blair, 44 yards to the end zone. Talk a little about what led up to that big score.
Yeah, so all through practice, we went through it, and I'm just glad we got the connection going.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's the nice thing. It's, I know you and Cam have a real close connection off the field, but now being able to play together on the field, what's that been like for you this year?
Yeah, Cam's like my brother. We're roommates. We work together. We actually just got done playing a round of golf together. So, yeah, that's my brother, and I can't wait to finish it out with him.
That's awesome. And, Coach, how nice is it to be able to have that connection with one of the wideouts and your starting quarterback?
It says it all right there. Just like you need that connection with the guys up front, you need the connection between your receivers and your quarterback, your running back and the guys up front as well. On defense, you need the connection between the secondary guys. So when you have guys that are going to be intimately working together like that, if there's an ultimate trust, a respect, and a chemistry there, that can only bode great things once you get to game day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And one thing Cam did well this past weekend, Jen, was he rushed the ball well. 6 rushes for 46 yards. You know, one of his jobs is to get you the ball, but when you see him tuck it, you kind of hold your breath for a second, or what's that like?
Most definitely, but Cam's strong, like you seen at the end of the game. He got banged up a little bit and came back in and finished out the game. So that's huge for us.
And how nice is it to have a quarterback who's willing to, you know, take shots like that and then come back in and help lead you guys, especially in an overtime game like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, but it's also scary at the same time. You know what I mean?
No doubt about it. And a nice thing too, and you know, for your journey, Jen, is going down with an injury last season, working your way back and playing here in this extra year for you and eligibility-wise. You know, what's that process been like to recover from the injury and get back to where you are now?
It's been stressful a little bit. Just going day in and day out, going to PT and getting back, but I'm just glad to be back out there with my brothers. It's awesome. It's an awesome feeling.
Of course. Well, Coach Geiser, what was that process like watching Jen, work his way back from that injury?
Well, first it was kind of surreal when it happened in the game. You go from the high of highs. You had, I think that drive was basically 2 plays, both pass plays to you, and he scores. So I'm thinking, okay, PAT. We're going to do a kickoff, that sort of thing, and I got Coach Barberi on the headphone saying, he's done. He's done for the season. I'm like, what are you talking about? He just scored.
Yeah.
So getting over that initial shock with that, he was our best receiver last year. But then you say at that point you're thinking ahead. You're thinking the end of that game and try to find a way to beat IUP and move on from that. But also in the back of my mind is knowing the idea of having a medical hardship. And so I think we waited till a handful of weeks after that.
Yep.
It was almost near the end of the season. We asked him if he'd be interested in coming back because the year was for it, and he took a little bit of time. Took a little bit of time, which hey, want to give him all the time he could. But once he made that that decision, hey, I'm going to come back. Then he was great guns, and he just kept marking his progress with his rehab all the way along the way, and had a great spring. So I knew he was back, and then it's been great to see him rewarded for all that hard work here during the season.
Yeah, Jen, what was that process like of deciding if you wanted to come back to Ashland or not? What were you kind of going through mentally there?
Yeah, it was definitely it was tough. It was, but I got a great support system at home. My friends, they just helped me through that. And that really helped me out.
Yeah, of course. And a nice thing too is you came back to a team that's found a lot of success. Just 1 loss on the season coming against UND. What's that been like for you guys this season to be able to find so much success and try to take it week by week?
Yeah, like Coach Geiser says all the time, want to know each week.
Yeah.
And so we really live by that day in and day out.
Of course, Walsh this weekend, tough team, and a team that's at one point in time was undefeated to start the season. What's Walsh going to throw your way? What are you expecting?
Yeah, we got a lot on our plate with Walsh, but like I said, want to know this week and wrap it up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the nice thing too is you guys have a lot of home games here coming in the next couple of weeks. I think it's all the way home through the stretch, the end of the season.
I think so. I know we are this week. That's about all I know.
That's all. Of course, it's all you know, Coach. I love it. But Jed, what's that like playing in front of Jack Miller Stadium and that crowd?
There's nothing like it. Jack Miller, it gets live out there, and we just love playing at home.
Yeah, of course. And my last question for you, Jen. Your senior season, last year out there with your guys. What's your mentality going into the back half of the season?
Like I've been preaching, want to know each week.
I love it. Well, he's media trained, Coach. He's media trained. Well, Jen, I appreciate your time here today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. We'll step aside, join you all back here soon. We've got another player interview coming your way next, right here on the Eagle Network. Welcome back to the Doug Geiser Show, Year 3, Episode 9. I'm Cade Crackister alongside Coach Geiser, and now joined alongside defensive back Isaac Brooks. Isaac, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good having you on the show here. First and foremost, we're not going to actually talk about this game against Tiffin. We're going to dive all the way back to the IUP game. We got that interception for you. What was that like to start off the year such on a high note?
Great feeling. It's my time being here. We never beat IUP, so I mean, obviously getting the interception and securing the win, it meant a lot to us.
Yeah, no doubt about it too. And obviously that's a great way, like you mentioned, to kick off a season. You guys have only suffered one loss since then. What's it been like to be a part of the team's success this season?
It's been great, man. We've had a great brotherhood. Culture's been great. We're just looking to take every week every season. Every week is a season in itself. We're just looking to go 1-0 each week.
Of course. And Coach Geiser, what has Isaac meant to the success the team has had?
Yeah, he's been a great comfort, really. He and Jelon Jackson both. You got two established corners, experienced corners. They've been there, they've done that, they're performing at a very high level. It really helps your coverage because now you can kind of dictate a little bit. You might be able to even mix up and go some zone on one side, man on the other, man principles, whatever the case might be, because you know that's two guys on the outside are already locked down. So now you can concentrate even another hat maybe in the run game. So it really helps Coach Rose with his defensive calls, knowing that there's a lot of comfort, knowing a lot of trust outside.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Isaac, you guys had a really good game against Tiffin, and obviously, not just in the result, but in just the competitiveness. That's what you really do call a competitive GMAC game. Coming down to the wire, 3-point difference, the interception in the end zone to finish it. What was it like to be out on that field?
It was like a movie ending. Like Coach talked about before the game, so we come to Ashland for playing those type of games. Mm-hmm. Just being on the field for it. I didn't get to play on the field. I wasn't on the field 2 years ago against Findlay. We went to the triple OT game. So just being out there for that, it was special.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the nice thing too is, you might not be able to be the man who brings in that interception, but seeing the guys alongside you do that, what type of feeling does that bring you?
It means something. Like obviously we're a brotherhood. We all want to see each other succeed. I think that's what's so special about this group. Each guy wants to see the next man succeed. We talk about selflessness. It's one of our 6 traits. So.
It's awesome. And a nice thing too for you is your story being close to home. Growing up in Mansfield and coming here to Ashland. What's that process been like? And honestly, throwing it back to high school, thinking about going to college, what made you decide to come to Ashland?
Obviously close to home, that was probably the main factor. I knew about Ashland, I played in Madison, played here a couple times in my career in high school. Wasn't really sure if I would ever end up here actually, but talking to some of the coaches, Orsini, it was close to home, and the culture here is just, you can't beat it. So it was a real brotherhood.
I always think it's interesting too, you see players with red shirts and all that, and that gives you time to develop, adjust to the college game. What did you take away from being redshirted?
Oh, there was a great group of guys in front of us. That 22 team was special. Those leaders were everything for us. And being able to play under guys like Javon Sewell and Devin Prude, I think that redshirt year was really crucial for me. Learned a lot, put weight on, stuff like that.
Yeah, and you talk about the team that you guys have now, and being in that major role with the team on the defensive side. Who are some of your favorite guys to play alongside?
I'd say everybody for sure, but I'd have to say Jelon, other side corner. He always brings the energy. EJ Tia, he's like a coach on the field. Whenever he's out there, you feel safe. And then Izzy, free safety. Obviously, the guy, he's a communicator. He's going to go out there and make hits. He's going to play for his brother next to him. And,
of course.
Any guy out there.
Yeah, I know that's the important thing. And that seems to be kind of what defensive coordinator Tim Rose kind of fostered to this team. What's he meant to you, not only as a football player, but as just a person, a human being?
He's meant a lot. He's inspiring. I'll say that. That's how I describe Coach Rose. Just the passion and the intensity he brings every day to work. It just inspires you. It makes you want to play behind him, run through a wall for him.
Of course. And, everyone always keeps saying, when's he going to be done? When's he going to be done? And he keeps kicking it out there. And I love to talk about the coaching style that he has with a lot of the defensive players when they come on the show. How different is it to any other coach that you've been alongside?
It's extremely different, but I think it's for the better. I think he wants everybody to succeed. He might be a little hard on you at times, but it's only for the better. So.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, speaking of this coming weekend now, shifting gears to Walsh. What does Walsh offer? What are you prepared for?
We can't overlook any opponent. Last year, they got the best of us. But, they're going to be a confident, hungry team. They're 6-2. We just got to take this week step by step, go 1-0 this week, and I think we'll be all right. Exactly.
Well, Coach, everyone keeps saying 1-0. I think it's starting to get passed around a bit too much here. Talking about Isaac's development a little bit and kind of how he's, formed his way into this team and this defense is such a critical member of it. What's that been like to see from your perspective?
Well, coming in, Isaac has always been very extremely physically talented. He's always kind of been the man at Madison. You know, that was in football or track, and could always really do kind of whatever he wanted to do. I think the part that he really had to learn when he came to college was the preparation part. And you know, it took a little bit. It took a redshirt year and probably a little bit more to kind of realize the value of the preparation. Because everybody in college is talented, and what sets you apart is your work ethic, your preparation. And it took a little bit for him to get to that point, but now that he's bought into it, you know, the sky's the limit, and you're seeing the results on the field, and that's exciting for me. That's exciting for me, and more than anything, his confidence has grown from that too. And that's a very, very powerful, you know, combination when you put it all together.
Yeah, for sure. And Isaac, what's this senior class meant to you?
Oh, they meant a lot. You know, it's a great group of leaders. Guys like Shimmick on the defensive line. We got a lot of DBs. You know, offensive side of the ball too as well. You know, we got a great group of leaders, and just seeing those guys, the passion they bring to the game every day, you know, makes you want to rally behind them.
Yeah. And lastly, you know, what's the mentality like going down to this the back half of the season?
You know, 3 straight home games, so you know, looking forward to that. Grateful to play in front of the fans. Just go 1-0 each week. Obviously cliche, but you know, it's the truth. We were talking about on the bus the other day, or after the Tiffin game. You know, we were like, I think it was me, Luke, and Swackhammer here. What's our record? We forgot our.
That's hilarious.
But I was like, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we're taking it week by week, and it's been benefiting us.
That's awesome. Well, Isaac, I appreciate your time today.
Yep, thank you.
Of course, we'll step aside, join you all back here soon. There's more Doug Geiser Show on the way, so stay tuned right here on the Eagle Network.
Need a construction team that can do it all? Bo Lacey Construction delivers experience you can trust, done right on time, with free estimates and special financing offered for roofing, siding, gutters, windows, bathrooms, decks, to the highest standards of excellence, quality, and knowledge in the industry. Bring your next project to life with Bo Lacey Construction.
Welcome back to the Doug Geiser Show, Year 3, Episode 9. I'm Cade Krakus alongside Coach Geiser, and now head strength and conditioning coach Corey Mason. Corey, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. Well, Doug, first and foremost, what'd you bring him on for?
Well, it's any of our support staff, I treat them like they are part of our staff, overall coaching staff. And you know, whether you're talking the athletic trainers with Savannah Line and Lydia Barona, or whether you're talking our equipment manager Paige Summers and Mitch Rafe-Snyder. You also have Corey Mason here, and Aaron and Isaac. You know, they do a great job, and our players actually probably see him and his staff more than they see our coaches. And so he's a vital part of what we do, because we can't play, we can't finish games if we're not in great shape. And Corey joined us last winter and has done a great job for us. So I figured I want to, also the fact that not all D2s have a full-time strength coach.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate to have here, so I want to give him a little bit of hype and a little bit of pub.
Yeah, that's always great. Well, Corey, when I talked to you, I think it was last February or March or so, just to kind of introduce yourself to Eagle Nation and get your name out there. Now you finally get a chance to sit down here on this show. Maybe give the audience a little bit of an update on who you are and what brought you to Ashland.
Yeah, well, I'm the head strength and conditioning coach here over all of our 24 varsity sports and 750 student athletes. Obviously working with football. I also work with several of our other teams. I have a full-time staff with a full-time assistant, Aaron Barnhart. He works with several of our teams on campus, and we also were able to have a graduate assistant come on staff this semester in Isaac Ridgway, who's an Ohio Northern grad. So for me, not coming from the area, getting a couple of local guys in from Kent and from the west side of Ohio helps me relate with the players a little bit more and helps strengthen that relationship with us. But I've been here since February. I was hired in January, started in February to work with our teams, and honestly, it's been all uphill from there. We've really hit the ground running and done a lot with the department in terms of the equipment that we have in the weight room, the organization structure of how our teams are training. But obviously, we're well into the fall semester now, and looking forward to continuing working with the teams and finishing the semester off right.
Yeah, and what does your job really entail? When you talk about head strength and conditioning coach, what is that to people? What are you doing out there on a daily basis with the student athletes?
Well, the majority of my job is on the floor coaching the student athletes, right? So anywhere throughout, 7 days a week, our staff will be training any of our 24 varsity sports. Most of the teams train between 2 and 3 days a week in the weight room with us, and that includes warming up, sprint work, jump work, throwing med balls, doing any of the strength work, any mobility work, and conditioning. And so 90% of my job is that on the floor coaching of the student athletes, being there. But part of it is also being at practices, right? Maybe I'm warming up a team like I do for football, helping out with guys that are on the sideline there, helping out with our other support staff members, our athletic training staff and our equipment staff, and whatever they're doing at practices. Part of it is going to practices just to watch, to communicate with the coaching staffs and be there to show support for the student athletes. Part of it is going to our games and seeing our student athletes and showing support in that way. And then part of it is the back end administrative stuff, whether it's meeting with sport coaches, meeting with administration, who's, by the way, is very supportive of what we've been doing, including being able to get a staff member for me and add that into the strength and conditioning staff, whether it's stocking our new nutrition stations for our student athletes here to be able to provide some nutritional support, right? Cleaning the weight rooms, making sure that our space is organized and tidy, so that way the student athletes understand that it's a place that we really care about, and so hopefully they put the same amount of care into their training as we do.
Of course. And Coach Geiser, you see what Corey's been able to do just in a short time here at Ashland. Mm-hmm. What type of impact have you seen him make, not only on the student athletes, but also just general athletics as a whole?
Well, he's had the opportunity here to follow some really good strength coaches we've had through the years. Going back to A.G. Kruger, who's now our head track coach, did a great job, and he was followed by Malcolm Majeski, who was an alum, and then Kyle Gilbert, and then so he's had some big shoes to fill as he's come in, and really I'd say he's kind of a combination of maybe the last two. Talking Malcolm and talking Kyle. He brings the analytical part that Malcolm had, and the pride, the passion, and the study to keep himself on the cutting edge as far as training wise, but also the passion of Coach Gilbert. So kind of combination of those two things. He's a bundle of energy when you see him, whether he's on the field warming our guys up or on the floor coaching the guys on the platform. And it's been neat to see him find his own personality and find his way. And he's been a great addition to our staff.
Yeah, and Corey too, I've got to ask this. I always see you down there on the sideline for football games. Not being a direct coach in the sense of, being a football coach and having to worry about what's going on the field. What's that like for you down there in kind of in the midst of all the chaos?
It's a little bit of everything, right? So obviously I love watching football. I love being part of staffs and love being a part of the game. But just as much as I am a part of the staff and looking at what's happening in the game, I'm also making sure that our sideline is in the right headspace. The very first game that we had against IUP, we had a sideline infraction. And anytime that we have a sideline infraction where either the coaches are standing on the field or the players are moving, obviously football is a very emotional game. It is, right? And I expect our players to be riled up and emotionally locked in. The same thing with our coaches. But part of my responsibility as our staff is to make sure that while our emotions are really high, they don't cross us over that line that would make it detrimental to our play, right? So it's one of the stereotypical jobs of the strength coach is to be the get back guy, get the players back, get the coaches back, and that's part of my job as well. And then as well as triaging the what our support staff does as well. I might be the first guy to grab one of our guys who gets banged up and bring them over to the trainers, or I might be the first one to go grab Paige or Mitch when there's an equipment malfunction. Right? I might not be the person that has the direct expertise in that area, but I might be the fastest one to be able to run and get the person that knows what to do.
Yeah, and for a couple of years it was notorious in the NFL that Sean McVay was the guy that always had to have his get back coach grab him. Is there anyone notorious on this staff, player, coach, that you always have to seem to be flying behind to go grab?
Honestly, no. Which is great, right? The good part for me is that I don't have to grab anybody's waistband for the whole game, right? So what I do is essentially just peruse the sideline up and down and make sure that we're not in the wrong space at the wrong time. But there's nobody that I'm grabbing from behind and picking up and dragging them back.
That's always good. Always good to hear. Well, Corey, too, what is your goals for the department? Obviously, you're still new to it. You haven't hit a year just yet. A couple months away from there. But obviously, you still got a bundle of things up here. I can tell. What do you have planned out for the department?
Well, obviously, the first thing that we've been able to do this semester and that I want to grow the most is our nutrition station, or our nutritional space for athletes. One of the biggest pieces of strength and conditioning is nutrition for the athletes. And it's a great strength coach from the University of Houston likes to say nutrition is the X factor, right? So if we can provide our student athletes with a little bit of extra support for them to help them recover better from their training, it'll help us push the needle forward just a little bit more, right? And then obviously, as a department, we're trying to push the same standards that our coaches are pushing, right? Whether it's, relentlessly pursuing our missions and being so zoned in and one-track minded on pursuing what our goals are, whether it's having an elite mindset, right, and being able to approach your training and practice in the same way, whether it's training with great attention to detail or great quality, right, or great intention, being able to do those things in the weight room is really what transfers over to the field. I like to tell the athletes that the number one most transferable quality from the weight room to the field in any sport is confidence. Because if you can push yourself to the brink of physical exhaustion, right, and understand there's a group of people that are behind you, supporting you, your teammates, your coaches that can do that, and you can push yourself beyond, what potentially maybe even your competitor is willing to do, right, then that's what's going to transfer over to the field, because you can push yourself a little bit more than maybe what your competitor is willing to do as well.
Yeah, and Corey, what makes you so passionate about it? Because I feel like it's just such an infectious passion. What got you started and so interested in being a strength and conditioning coach?
Well, to be honest, my love for coaching comes from being under great coaches, right? Obviously, I stand on the shoulders of giants, people that have come before me and the people that have mentored me. But the biggest mentor in my life is my high school wrestling coach, right? My high school wrestling coach was never a state qualifier. He wrestled in Illinois, but is the greatest wrestling coach I've ever known. Right, he's built a program at the high school that I'm an alum of, up to winning multiple state championships at that level. It's probably one of the best programs in the country. But he was also a very great male role model in my life. I come from a single-parent household. I'm a mom with twin boys, and those male role models in my life really shaped the way that I think about mentorship and I think about being a mentor to our athletes. So that's what drove my love of coaching. Right, on the opposite end of that, I was a very mediocre athlete myself. I was not very fortunate I was a wrestler in college for a couple of years, not at a crazy high level, and was not crazy successful for myself, right? But I found love in the training because it helped me push the needle a little bit forward to find some success for myself, albeit on a very small scale, and because it helped me in all areas of my life with being able to push myself physically and being able to grow. I did several internships during my undergrad and was a graduate assistant at other places that really solidified my passion for coaching the athletes and being in the weight room. But at the end of the day, I really think the weight room is such a pivotal point of a young person's life as well, because of the physical hardship that you have to do of your own volition. You have to choose to do it willingly to be able to push yourself, and it's such a mindset thing that our athletes can learn about themselves mentally so much more than they can learn physically.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Coach, I think an interesting thing about that is, for example, like when you came in and were very intense and very intentional about being passionate about football when you took over as the head coach, that's something that actually was kind of infectious to me, and I wanted to help, become a part of it, and that's how we kind of got to make it the Doug Geiser show. How nice is it to have Corey come in and be so passionate, and while he's still kind of getting adapted to Ashland and really starting to make it his own, how has that really kind of given you a passion to know that, hey, it's going to be fine. Like, he's going to make sure that my athletes are good.
Yeah, it's a comfort to me. It's a comfort to me because as a head coach, you can be spread too thin at times, trying to get your hand in everything. And so I know I'm probably a pain in his butt at times because I know just enough strength and conditioning to be dangerous. And he puts up with me in that respect. But there is a trust that's developed because I see the time he puts in. I see the pride he takes into putting in a project and developing our players to a higher level. And so for me, it's the same comfort as it is turning the defense over to a Tim Rose, turning the offense over to a Tom Stacy, and so on and so forth. So it's nice to, you can't do the job by yourself. You need a great staff in order to have a great team and to be a great program. And so having him there is just continue that great tradition of having tremendous strength coaches in the department. So it's been a great peace of mind. I can sleep soundly at night.
Yeah, no doubt about that, especially too I can tell Corey's very passionate about it. Well, Corey, last question for you here. Jack Miller Stadium going to be back here at home this weekend. For you, as the head strength and conditioning coach, what's that mean to you to be back in front of the fans?
I know that our players love to play at home, right? Home field advantage really is a real thing, right? And being able to go on the road for so many games and play competitive football for the last 8 weeks really has given us the opportunity to play meaningful football at the end of October and into November. And that was one of the things that Coach Geiser had talked about with the team, and one of the things that I had talked with the team about early in the spring was putting yourself in a position to play meaningful games in November, right? And we're in a really great spot where we can play really meaningful games, right, and go 1 week at a time, be able to play in front of the home fans in front of an electric environment that's unlike any other Division II setting, right, and really put on a show.
Awesome. Well, Corey, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We'll step aside, join you back here soon. You're watching the Doug Geiser Show, Year 3, Episode 9, right here on the Eagle Network. welcome back to the Doug Geiser Show, Year 3, Episode 9. I'm Cade Crackister alongside Coach Geiser, and we've got just 2 segments remaining, this one and the next. And you know what time it is, Coach? It's time to talk about the game that's coming weekend. First and foremost, how you feeling about Walsh?
Well, shoot, we're still kind of knee-deep in the game planning portion of it. That's our Monday or Sunday nights and Monday are, as we're watching all the tape and trying to chart and see the tendencies and start putting that plan together. What part of our system on all 3 phases will fit against the style that they play, and then oh, by the way, evaluate personnel and try to track all that stuff today. So they are a very well coached team. I can tell you that right now. They play with a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm. They're very, very physical. And they give you some things schematically, give you a little bit of problems on all 3 phases. So it's going to be a great challenge for us going into here to week number 9.
Yeah, and Walsh started off the year really hot. They were at one point in time one of the only undefeated teams in Division II. They won their first 4 games of the season with allowing a maximum of 15 points, and that came in their game against Wheeling. A hot start to a season like that. I mean, what's that like for a team's confidence? You feel like going into a point of the year now?
It's huge. I mean, especially if you track it really about halfway through the season last year and kind of track their record since then, they've been on a high. And so for them to start, 4-0 this past season, to kind of add a confirmation for their players that they were on the right track. And so their confidence is sky high, even at this point at 6-2. They're right behind us in the standings in the league, and they're still playing for a playoff position. And so it's they'll be fired up to play against us. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're also coming off a big win over Thomas More, 41-20. A game like that, coming into this now with a 2-game win streak under their belt, you expecting to see some firiness from them?
Absolutely. They got some explosive players on offense, and defensively they're in. Like I said, it's a little different scheme. It's a little different preparation playing the 3-4 defense with a slant and angle, old school 3-4. Going back to Bo Schembechler days at Michigan, and in fact, we played that here for many, many years. That was a tradition at Ashland, was to play the 3-4 slant and angle. So I know the offense is going to have their hands full with that, especially the guys up front. So it'll be a challenge.
Yeah, and something that we've always talked about on this show, at least you've kind of brought up with not only your team but other teams, is having a balanced offensive approach. And they did that against Thomas More. 29 passing attempts, 35 rushes. Really solid split between the two. What does that offer when you see a team coming into a game where they're coming off of one where they just played really well in all assets of their offense?
And really, that's kind of a microcosm of their season right there. Knowing their offensive coordinator, Jim Pertile, he would like to be balanced.
Yeah.
But balance, realize is not necessarily equal run and pass. It's equal threat of run and pass. And that's what they've established there with that. And very, very, physical run game, productive run game with Jake Gill, who's one of the leading rushers in the league. And then you look at the passing, portion of it with Dallas Jett and Trey Martin. And quarterback Cole Norris is playing very, very well. They got a very physical offensive line, experienced offensive line. So that's Tim Rose is going to have his hands full with this group. Yeah,
I was just about to highlight the quarterbacks. Obviously, they've gone through 2 this season, and both of them are very young quarterbacks as well. And I'm not going to sit here and have you talk about what you're going to do to game plan against them and whatnot. But going up against young quarterbacks, what do they have to offer?
Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Enthusiasm is probably the biggest thing. You add that on top of their physical ability. And you can see that their team feeds off of both those quarterbacks when you watch them on tape. And so finding a way to corral those 2 guys will be very, very key for our success defensively in this game.
And we were talking, kind of joking in between breaks about how you kind of forget at times that you're riding high off of win streaks right now. You guys are going into this game with a 6-game win streak underneath your belt, and obviously that Tiffin game, you can't ignore the fact that you guys just played in a very tough, competitive game up until the wire. Lots of tension, lots of excitement, lots of aggression and intensity. How do you take that ball of energy that you had at the end of that Tiffin game and feed it into a game like Walsh this coming weekend?
Well, the biggest thing is you depend upon, and you put a lot of onus on your upperclassmen, your lettermen, the guys who have played a lot of football for us, and you hope their maturity is high enough that they know how to turn that page, proverbial. And we had a lot of guys, it's kind of a cliche now, joking about going 1-0 every week.
Yeah.
That is something that we preach. It is real. And having the maturity to be able not to be emotionally invested in a game you were just involved with, be able to transfer that towards a good Walsh team is going to be key for our success and our preparation this week.
Yeah, and another thing, building off of that balanced offensive approach that we talked about on the side of Walsh, you guys did that as well. Cam Blair, 17 of 33 through the air, and then the rushing game, you guys had 38 rushes. What's that mean to you guys as well? Finally starting to see both assets, the passing and the rushing attack, flow at a fluid rate.
I think what it is the quarterback kind of is the straw that stirs the drink. And you've seen as, initially at the beginning of the year, Cam's knocking off the rust, from not playing a lot for the last couple of years, to now you see he's very, very confident in what he's doing. He was always a great leader and always had great confidence in his abilities, but now it's showing on the field. And I think as his development has happened this season, you've seen the offense kind of grow and really, really prosper as a result of that, because being able to throw the ball more effectively helps the run game. Okay, being able to run the ball effectively and have efficient runs helps the pass game, especially the play action passing portion of it. So, that has helped our emergence of some of our younger players as well. And some of the guys who've just joined us, like a Will Trell Hartson or a John Merrimee, those guys have been key, DJ Harvey. And in addition to the guys that have come back that have been great players for us, Ty Stevenson, Lando Kamara, Jen Joseph, Jamari Kroom. So it's been great to kind of see all that stuff kind of come together. And then the steadying influence all the way along has been the offensive line on the offensive side. And so they've been there playing at a high level, and now everybody else is ready to join them.
And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, at the Division II level, you don't have an Adam Schefter live tweeting about players going down with injuries or certain things happening. And I don't know if you're allowed to publicly say about Cam Blair. How's he doing after that game against Tiffany? He's going to be playing this coming weekend.
We don't talk about injuries outside of the building.
That's what I figured. So I wanted to make sure because obviously Cam, big player for this offense this year. He got 200 yards that pass game and a touchdown as well. How has he really emerged in the offense as of recent, especially going into the back half of the season?
I think the biggest portion of it is realizing, and Tom Stacy's done a great job with this, is he's a different quarterback than Trevor Brzezinski. He's a different quarterback than an Austin Brenner. He's a different quarterback than a Travis Tarnowski, so on and so forth. And so really finding out what he can do well and ways to maximize his talents. He runs the ball a little bit more than maybe what a Trevor would. And so you want to incorporate some of that in the run game because it takes advantage of his ability. Okay, he's great throwing on the run. So just finding out what those things are to maximize it and what fits with the talent set or the skill set of all the other players on the offense. So being able to meld that all together has been a work in progress, and it's still a work in progress, but we've made some definite progress. That's for sure.
And you now have 4 players in the rushing category over 100 yards, 2 guys with over 300, and for a combined total of 16 rushing touchdowns. We talk about the 4-headed monster, every once in a while. How nice is it to have that rushing attack really become a much more fluid and composed week in and week out now?
Well, what it does, it keeps guys fresh. It adds to the competition level, number one. So, when you go in, you got to play. You got to perform. You got to produce. If not, there's another guy waiting in the wings that will take those reps and will be able to do that. So it keeps guys on edge. It really fosters a sense of urgency along that. And then the other part, too, as a coach, we know it keeps guys fresh as you progress through the season because the tailback in our offense is going to get hit. It's going to get hit. We are going to run the tailback. It's going to be some 2-backs, and you're getting downhill a lot. And that will wear you down. So being able to have guys fresh at this point of the year can only help us offensively.
Yeah, and I've asked everybody else it, but now being back at Jack Miller Stadium, what's that mean to you? How excited are you to be back here for the final 3 games of the season?
It's until you've experienced Jack Miller Stadium on game day, it's hard to describe. But just feeling the energy, feeling the electricity, you feel the passion, and literally our guys can stand on the shoulders of the people in the crowd. We feel that energy. We feel that enthusiasm, we feel that positivity, and it helps guys maybe play at a level that they might not be able to do on the road.
Yeah, no doubt about it too. And I think the nice thing is you guys are positioning yourself with a chance to make a really good run down the back half of the season. And we talked about the first half of the year, 5 games in 5 different states. Mm-hmm. Being back at home gives you a brand new perspective on the back half of the season, especially too with some big games coming down the line against Findlay and Lake Erie. But your line of taking it 1-0 every week, going up against a team like Walsh at home, a team that's notoriously played you guys very, very tough. Mm-hmm. How nice is it to have it at home instead of being at Walsh?
It's great because now that they've got an on-campus stadium, their level of play has improved, has increased, and I would say their improvement as a team is probably a direct correlation of that. As I know the bump that we felt in our program when we got Jack Miller Stadium, and I think you can trace some of their progress to the building of Larry Stout Stadium on their campus there at Walsh University. So being able to play them at home is a definite benefit for us, that's for sure.
For sure. All right, well, Coach, we'll step aside and we'll take a break. Join you all back here soon for the final segment. We're going to wrap things up. Thank everybody for tuning in and much, much more. Stay tuned. You're watching the Doug Geiser Show, Year 3, Episode 9, right here on the Eagle Network.
Ashland University, tradition meets innovation. From academic success to championship athletic programs, Ashland University is a place where students discover their passion and prepare for life after college. With small class sizes, dedicated faculty, and an active campus community, Eagles soar higher here in Ashland. This message is brought to you by Barefoot Floors in Ashland, Ohio, serving residential and commercial flooring needs in Ashland and surrounding areas for the past 38 years.
Welcome back to the Doug Geiser Show, Year 3, Episode 9. I'm Cade Krackus, joined alongside Coach Geiser here in Buffalo Wild Wings in Ashland. Coach, our final segment.
We're almost done.
We are almost done for the day, and that would move us into double figures next week. Wow, that's crazy that we're that far along in the year. But before we wrap up today's show, speaking of Walsh, every week I like to ask you position groups you'd like to see stand out, or ones that maybe that you've seen the improvements for, but you'd like to see them advance further. Any ones that stand out to you heading into this week?
Well, I think the group I continue to like to see, I'll take offense, defense, and special teams. We'll handle it that way. The kickoff return team has shown tremendous growth throughout the season. I'd like to continue to see them on that trajectory, and be great to bust one. Be great to bust one there. That'll be my challenge to them there. Is they're finding a way to become a lot more consistent, become a lot more explosive, and so I'd like to see continued progress with the kickoff return team. If you look at the offensive side of the ball, I'd like to see our run game has emerged the last month. I like to see our passing game get back on the same trajectory. I think in order for us to continue to have success, especially with the schedule we're playing coming up, we need to be a lot more explosive in the passing game. So I like to see that here. We started a little bit of that last week. The way we started the game, with the long throw to DJ Harvey and the touchdown pass to Jet, but the consistency of providing that explosivity would be great for us on the offensive side. And then hey, coming off a game like Tiffin, and you get carved up a little bit by an Alex Johnson, you need to see the secondary, excuse me, get a chance to reemerge, okay, and get a chance to knock some of those passes down, break them up, maybe pick off a couple with that. So those are probably the three areas going into this game I'd like to see continued improvement.
Yeah, and the cool thing too about being back here at Jack Miller Stadium, it's also the first time since I think it was homecoming. Wow, it's been well over, it's going to be nearly a month since you were last at home. But the cool thing as well is it's going to be Youth Day for you guys, a chance to celebrate some of the youth, bring them in and get them kind of adapted to AU football. What's that mean to the program?
Tremendous. You want to have a lot of excitement around the program. There might be a handful of good future Eagles in that group right there. So you want to give them a big time atmosphere, big time experience, make it positive, to something which really going to continue to evolve their love of football and hopefully their love of AU, where it's someplace they might desire to go when they're ready to become college football players.
Yeah, of course. Well, we're going to be moving on to episode 10 next week, and I mentioned at the start, but that's crazy we've been through that many weeks now, and that also means we're towards the back half of the season. It feels like you just blinked and the year's almost over.
Well, you mentioned a couple segments ago about playing 5 games in the first 5 states.
Yeah.
That seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And that was only a month ago that we finished that string right there. So the season's flying by, and when you're immersed in the moment and staying in the moment all the way through, then you kind of lose sight of some of those things. But that's what they have the off season for, is to kind of look back at what you've accomplished. And right now we're right in the middle of it, and hoping to still accomplish our goals.
I was just about to say, it feels like those 5 states were forever ago. It was actually only 23 days ago to be exact.
Wow.
You would have gotten back technically 22 days ago because you guys traveled overnight, right? That night, didn't you? The KWC trip.
Yeah.
So 22 days.
Wow.
So that's crazy. But you guys will be back at home here on November 1st, November 8th, and November 15th. Coach didn't know that. Coach didn't even know what was going on besides this week, as usual, 1-0 every week. But make sure to come out to Jack Miller Stadium, support the Eagles, get loud, and make sure you support them down the back half of the season. These 3 games very important for them in terms of obviously the postseason and everything else to come. But obviously we're just focusing 1-0 every week, Coach. Okay, I swear that's all it is. 1-0 every week.
I'll let you talk about those things, but yeah, I'm thinking Walsh.
Of course. Well, we want to thank all of our Ashland University football sponsors, the Ashland University Journalism and Digital Media Department for helping make everything possible here, and then obviously Buffalo Wild Wings here in Ashland, Ohio for supporting us and obviously allowing us to film this live show here. But that's all that we got, Coach. We're going to wrap up the show now, and if you're interested in tuning in, come out to Jack Miller Stadium this coming weekend. Tune into 88.9 WRDL, Fox Sports WNCO, or even Flow College on whichever platform that you may choose to ingest AU football. You can find it. So for that, I'm Cade Krackus, Coach Geiser, saying thanks to Isaac Brooks, Corey Mason, and Jen Joseph for coming out today. Saying so long here on the Doug Geiser Show, Year 3, Episode 9.